when we're talking residual income, talking about ways to pad your income or to have multiple streams of income for your dispatch service outside of just finding loads, booking loads, doing the paperwork, the normal dispatcher everyday work that you do. Because you don't want all of your income, you don't want all your eggs in one basket into a few carriers. Because if trucks break down, weather happens, industry takes a turn, etc., you want to have a way to keep your income going so that way your dispatch service can last that. I know there's not much overhead, not many expenses that comes with running a dispatch company, but it is good to, kind of pad that income and have multiple streams of income coming in. So one way to build a residual income is to use referrals. So just like the same way I talked about earlier, to find carriers in another video, and I'll put the link below in the description if you want to check that video out, about how to find carriers and use referrals to do that. This is another way to do that as well. So for example, just like I was talking about, offering a residual income to, other factoring companies, insurance agents, etc., and paying them a residual to send you carriers. Well, they actually, most of them have their own referral program as well. So I didn't come up with this out of nowhere. I didn't reinvent the wheel. So for example, I actually used to work in factoring before, and there's a factoring company that I really like working with because it's based off the values that I've seen from factoring companies, which is called Steelhead Finance. And what Steelhead does is that they'll actually pay me either $100 per client, which I usually don't accept, but they'll actually pay me a commission on the clients that I send them and I refer to them. And so what they'll do is, let's just say, for example, I think their going rate's typically 10%. Don't quote me on that, but I want to say it's 10% going rate. But if you're able to send them more clients, you can negotiate better rates with these guys. But for example, this factoring company will pay me 10% of the revenue that they generate on every client I send to them. So for example, let's just say trucking company A wants to dispatch with me, and they need a factoring company, and I'm able to send them over here, and they sign them. They do all the work. I don't do any of the work. Well, what end up happening is, because I sent them the client, they'll actually pay me 10%. So for example, let's just say, just for round numbers, right? They generate $800 a month off this guy. Well, they're going to pay me $80 a month. And then what I can do is I continue to add and send more referrals and stack that up. So I'm making, an extra, $500 to $1,000 a month. And that's another way to generate some side residual income for your dispatch service. Now, with that said, putting all your eggs in one basket and being concentrated is not the best thing to do. So there are some other ways you can essentially, generate some residual income. So another way that I do, because I'm blessed in the fact that I think I'm pretty good at marketing, and there's some things that I do pretty well. And so because of that, I get a lot of carriers that ask me to dispatch for them. And I just can't do them all. I don't have the time of the day to dispatch them all. So what I can do is I will send them to other dispatchers. And what they'll do is pay me part of the income that they're making for sending them a client. So just like the factoring company and just like others, for example, let's just say like I would do, give them 2%. I negotiate the same thing with them, vice versa. This dispatcher is going to pay me, 2 to sometimes 4% depending on the client and the dispatcher. You just have to know their need and their demand for a client at that time, and you kind of gauge off that. But have a written agreement in place, and I can actually charge them, essentially, I can put them as a contractor under my dispatch service and pay them, and I keep my percentage. And this is another way for me to make side income without actually having to dispatch that client. So for example, how this would work, let's just say I have, trucking company A comes to me for dispatching. I go, hey, I really don't have the capacity right now for me, but I do have some other dispatchers in my network that I work with. I'm going to call dispatch company A. Dispatch company A, hey, I got this guy. He wants to dispatch. I don't have it, but here's an agreement. If you go ahead and take him on, I don't know what you want to charge, but if you pay me 2% of everything, I'd be more than happy to do that. Okay, great. So how that's going to work is I'm going to have him work under my dispatch company. Everything's going to get booked under me. That carrier is going to pay me. I'm not going to have the carrier pay him and hope that he pays me. He's paying me. And then what I'm going to do each week or each month, take his fee out, send it to that dispatcher, and keep my portion. All right, does that make sense? Because what you don't want to do is put all of your money into somebody else's hands to pay you. And if they don't like that, trust me, there's plenty of dispatchers out there that will, and that will take your referral. So the third way you can earn residual income for your dispatch service is equipment financiers, financing companies. They will actually pay you a residual as well, or at least a good chunk of income for sending them leads. So for example, let's just say you need somebody that needs a loan for equipment such as truck, trailer, maintenance, tires, whatever it is, or they just want a line of credit. There's companies that offer these things for them, specifically for our industry. And just to give this out first, just kind of a notice, be careful about who you're investing into for residual incomes, because some of these companies have created a reputation for themselves that may not be positive, and you don't really want to tie yourself up with those. So make sure that you're picking and choosing the right type of companies that you want to partner up with. But with that being said, let's just say you find a good company that's actually good, they have a good mission, they're doing good things for the client, and you send them somebody, they're actually going to pay you a chunk of change as well for that. So that's just another way you can create a residual income. So you have your referrals back and forth through dispatchers, factoring companies, and equipment financiers. There's also other ways as well. For example, let's just say sometimes you do come across a direct shipper. Sometimes they're on the load boards, and sometimes they want you to help them out. Well, technically you don't have a broker license, so you can't actually arrange that freight. So if you send it to a broker who has an authority, which is another word for a license, they have broker authority, sometimes that broker will pay you a residual for sending them a client as well. So there's some other few ways, but those are the three main ways that you can create some residual income for yourself within your network that you're already working with. So I hope you guys like those tips. I hope there's more ways that I can continue to help out. Please ask more questions. Find me on Instagram. You can email me. You can put in the comments. You can PM me on Facebook. Go to my website. Whatever it is, people are coming to me, and since I started this channel, asking me questions, and I'm trying to create this content to answer those, because I'm sure you're not the only one with that question. So any other things I can help out with, please reach out to me. I hope you guys like the content. Make sure to comment, subscribe, like, share it with your friends, share it with other family members, share it with other network and other like-minded individuals, so that way we can all make some money together in this industry. Thanks.